So this is my logbook for the second week of the Sad Club. Again, just a quick overview of what we did in this week's lesson. So, these week's lessons. We looked at the first opening song, We Are So Happy, and we also looked at a song called We're Like Gods, that are in the script. We also went over a monologue, and I've practiced a monologue, which I'll talk about more. I also did a lot of characterization for David, because we're performing it, before doing the monologues next week. So it was sort of like look at the dances and the songs for We Are So Happy and We're Like Gods. Okay, so I'll start off by talking about the rehearsal proposal. So how are you meeting your tasks, and obviously, which I would post on the checklist, and reflect and make new targets. Obviously, the new target I want to make, first of all, is when I am performing monologue, I need to slow down my pace. Before talking about monologue, obviously we practice the monologue. I tend to go really quick, so that's a weakness of mine. So yeah, I think going much more quicker would help. Is going to make you more rushed and more nervous. So I need to slow down my pace. Also like breath control. So I'm gonna do a lot of breath exercises before we perform it. So I'll do the breath exercises on the National Theatre YouTube, which I've been practicing, which is really helpful. So talking about We're Like Gods and We're So Happy. So we thought about movement and what we could do and what the song's about and what's it bringing. So we had an idea that it's going to be separate things happening all on the stage at once whilst we're all singing at once. So we practiced the song, and talk about my voice. In my actor's logbook, where it says what to include. Voice. Have you carried out any vocal exercises this plan? I've made a note vocal exercise plan, and it's in my checklist, so I'll show you that. How are you evidencing this? Obviously, checklist. Have you noticed any improvements or changes? Obviously, because it's the first time we're singing the song, so obviously throughout the weeks we keep practicing. Obviously, I'll keep a plan of how my voice is developing. But for the first week, I'd say definitely make targets for next week. To be more articulation, more projection when I'm singing. Because sometimes I feel like I'm not singing like to my peak, if you could sort of say. Have you used your voice in class this week? And how have you found the class? Yes, obviously we did singing, and singing helped me a lot. Obviously like a confidence sort of thing for the song. So it was the first song we saw. We're Like Gods and We're So Happy. So obviously it's a musical, so we'll be dancing as well as singing at the same time. So we've got to think about that. So when there's bits that we are like not singing, obviously we need to be having that breath control. The use of tone in our voice when we're doing it, our articulation, projection, all those things sort of wrapped into one. And I think the main target that I'm going to set for next week for my voice is to make sure that I am projecting my voice, and as well as articulation, because I need that as much as I can. Okay, so talking about research of David and Craig. So what research you've done this week? So this week I've drawn a picture of David. Just what he would wear, what sort of setting he would be in, and sort of the sort of thing that Davey would be. So I thought, and also we got given this list of questions about David, which I haven't filled in yet, but I will fill in for next week. It's got to be in for next week. So it's sort of questions like, how many brothers does David have? What's David's hobbies? What does David eat? What's David's favourite food? That kind of stuff. But the picture of David, I made him be quite well dressed. So not chavvy, but very smart, but good looking. He likes to show himself that he's good looking, and he likes to tell people that, not tell people, but basically he is telling people, but just without saying anything and using the way he dresses. People are, oh, okay, he dresses nice. I'd say he's a very popular guy, David. Also about Craig. I'm getting quite worried all the time. He's not very very popular. He has a girlfriend, like he says in the script. But I wouldn't think he's very popular. He's got friends, but not in the popular group. He's sort of an outsider in that group as well. I'm getting the impression. How is doing the research help understand the theme? So, and how can you apply it to your role? So obviously I thought of David and feeling blue. I'm thinking, okay, David's feeling blue, so how can I show that? So there's a bit near the end of David's monologue where I'm obviously Steve leaves, and obviously it's very upsetting. So I can show that across the audience. I want the audience to feel sorry for me. I want the audience to be like, his girlfriend's actually left him. I want to have that connection with the audience. So I'm going to work on that and how I'm going to show that across to the audience, in a way of me making it so they're really upset. So yeah, sort of research and characterization, we're talking the same one here, and obviously this is the sheet we're using. So what characterization, how are you developing your character? Obviously, like I said, I draw a picture of him, and the techniques to explore, obviously I've done hot seating, like the big if. I chose these techniques because hot seating gets you into character, and drawing a picture of David sort of visualizes what he's going to be like. So you need to apply that vision to yourself and then put it into the performance of the audience, so you can have a good connection with the audience. So I'm going to apply this to David, as well as Craig. Obviously, Craig, I think, dresses just casual joggers, top, jumper, but a very, like, muscular guy, because obviously he swims a lot. As well as David, but I think as Craig's focused to being the guy that, like, swims, that's sort of focusing. Right, okay. Choosing skills and techniques. What practitioner techniques and rehearsing performance skills have you chosen this week and in rehearsals in your own time? Okay, so we've talked about the practitioners, Stanislavski and Brecht, and obviously in Fear of Misery, the last performance we did, we used Brecht a lot. We introduced every single scene, we introduced what was happening at the start of the scene, so the audience all the time were with us, and knew what was going on. We sort of did this. We sort of had an idea of doing this inside club by sort of introducing the scene. But like we're going to introduce a scene, we think, but like we're not saying what's going to happen. So we're not going to say, oh, scene 8, relationships. David is in his bedroom on his laptop. We're not. We're just going to say scene 8, whatever, blah blah blah. David, relationships. Excuse me. So that was a good strategy. What performance skills have I used this week? So obviously I've been very vocal, the singing, physical. We sort of added the dance. We didn't add the dance moves, but we all got into groups and sort of decided, well, what dance moves we're going to do and how. And I found that very well because it found out that I could have a connection with the audience. Found out I could have a connection, and actually we all can give our views of what dance we want to do. So I had good teamwork skills, I had good communication skills. So all these skills that added together were really good. I've highlighted teamwork and collaboration skills right there. And how do I respond to feedback and direction? Deb's told me that when we are doing the group work, obviously she lets us go off and go off in groups, and how our interpretation. So she wanted to see our interpretation. She didn't want to give us feedback for that because she wanted to see how we would react. And what decisions have you made for character over this week? So I made a decision that character of David is very popular, whereas Craig isn't, and that is really important, popularity and personality. So I think I've covered everything in the sheet here, and I wrote down the notes for it in here. So that's the logbook for week 2.